And let's talk about The View. Because I was not expecting this on my bingo card. This made me actually sit and want to watch the show again. Shout out to Joy Behar, because also she been off the show for the past couple of days. I think she had a foot injury. But yeah, she been off all week. I don't know what we'll be gonna do because normally she take Fridays off unless they're gonna pre-record today and then it'll be for Friday's show. But Joy been out because Joy is the second moderator, and quiet as it's kept, I don't see them other women up there being a good moderator. Sunny, I like you, but you ain't a good moderator. Sarah's a fucking idiot. Um, I like Anna, but no. And Alyssa is just hopeless and pathetic. So I don't see none of them other women that could be able to moderate the show like Joy. Joy brings a lot of humor and stuff to it, so I can't stand it. Whoopi is just Whoopi. So anyway, so y'all already heard about the whole thing about the Democrats, 8 Senate Democrats pretty much giving in, a bunch of damn dinos. Some of them is retiring. Some of them are actually up for re-election in 2028. There's some also up for in 2030. But remember, we need to keep the foot on their necks of the one for 2028 and the 2030s because they're expecting all of this now. Y'all gonna forget that they're going to be up for re-election around that time. But no, we need to constantly I'm going to try to make it my mission, and hopefully others will as well, to keep you guys abreast of these people that went and voted for this whole situation. And I got a ton of receipts, so let's get into it. I don't know if y'all saw the episode of The View during Hot Topics talking about, excuse me, the whole situation regarding the government shutdown and the way they voted and all the other stuff. So I want to play y'all that clip, and we'll come back and we will talk. And then also I want to play y'all the John Fetterman stuff too. Hold on, because I got to see, where is it? I got so many clips up in here that I thought I would have ready. Yet. Wait, hold on, because I got to change the speed on this. I don't want them coming after me. So we're going to play.
The biggest sticking point in the longest U.S. government shutdown has been Democrats demanding that Republicans negotiate to extend health care subsidies that are about to expire. But last night, 8 Senate Democrats threw in the towel by siding with the GOP to advance a vote that could lead to the government reopening. And they tried to explain themselves to their unhappy colleagues. Take a look.
I understand that not all of my Democratic colleagues are satisfied with this agreement. But waiting another week or another month wouldn't deliver a better outcome.
This agreement tonight is a win for the American people. There was zero chance of dealing with the ACA issue as long as the shutdown continued. Now, I don't know, 50-50, but there's a lot better chance now than there was this morning.
This was a very, very bad vote. And what the election showed is that the American people want us to stand up to Trumpism, to his war against working class people, to his authoritarianism. That is what the American people wanted, but tonight, that is not what happened.
So, 50-50 chance of negotiating health care subsidies. I just remember all of the people who are coming in and hoping that people would vote them in and say, yes, you can be this person, or you can be a judge, or you can be this. And they all said, no, we're not going to mess with anything. No, we're going to leave everything as it was. I have no faith that they're going to negotiate and come back to the table. And I'm glad that folks, maybe, because again, we have seen, you say this is going to happen, and then it doesn't happen. Right. So surprise me and show me that this is really, that people are going to get their money, that people are going to get the money that they are entitled to. It's not a gift. Right. They're entitled to this money during when there's a shutdown. You're entitled to that money.
Yeah.
So this idea that they're giving in and giving this as a gift, it's not a gift. Mm-hmm. I don't understand. So is he right that Americans wanted Democrats to keep fighting? This would. And, people will get rehired, supposedly, federal workers, and reinstate SNAP benefits, but a 50-50 chance of extending the subsidies, I don't believe it.
So I've been saying from the outset, I don't think anyone wins in a government shutdown, and I welcome this deal. And let me tell you why. So the fight over extending the Obamacare subsidies is about addressing 22 million Americans who are going to see their healthcare premiums skyrocket. I believe that's important. I'm with Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm with Mike Lawler and a number of Republicans who believe we have to extend those for at least a year. However, in the interim, while the government remains shut down, 42 million people are losing SNAP benefits ahead of the holidays. So to me, we've got to hold out for those 22 million whose premiums are going to go up, but deny these people SNAP benefits in the meantime. That math doesn't math for me.
Here's the thing, because I'm going to have to be cutting in between. Alyssa has no idea what the hell she's talking about. She's talking about that with the cutting of the SNAP or healthcare, they're going to get the healthcare regardless. We were on the right path in regards of holding the line and making sure that if we can get all this other stuff to come out, it was going to look bad on the Republicans. So that way, people would be able to eventually get their benefits. Do you want people to either figure out food insecurity and where their next meal is coming from, or do you want to gut people's health care where it's going to be 10 times worse, where people are going to, within the year, are going to be seeing their premiums skyrocket? I already know friends who were telling me that they were getting messages telling me that their premiums are going to be going up. So you're going from paying 100 something a month to 500, or what is it, like hundreds of thousands of dollars, or $2,500 or $1,200. Like, who can let me be able to afford that? And on another hand, we should not be having food insecurity in the United States. Everyone should have the right, just like we should have universal health care. Everyone should have the right to not be starving or figuring out how, with the type of jobs that they have, that they're not making enough money to make ends meet and to make to be able to feed their families or whatever. Even like if you work at Walmart or whatever, you can get foods like SNAP benefits to be able to get like processed food or whatever, because they don't have like real food and shit there. But here's the funny thing: we can go and give universal health care to Israel with our money. We can go and you see our allies. Well, not really. They're not really our allies because this idiot fucking president burned that bridge. Canada, they have universal health care. Like, I was reading a story where one guy said that his father has been sick, and because they have universal health care, everything has been taken care of. The only issue that he had was like trying to figure out how, like paying the money or whatever to get, I guess, to his appointments. But other than that, all their medical expenses are taken care of. Why is it that our own country, where we're supposed to be the richest country in the world, according to these politicians that sell you this American dream, why is it that we're out here struggling to keep our head above water? We don't have healthcare, good healthcare, and they're trying to gut Obamacare, which wasn't that great to begin with. Obamacare, Affordable Care Act, same shit, different toilet. But she's up here trying to sell you this bullshit. And it just goes to show that because, she did work with Trump on his first term, she doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. So how does this help people? And then, of course, here's another thing I've noticed. And this is why I think has bothered me about the people of The View. You get your talking points and stuff from the people that work on the show. These producers or the hires up tell y'all, spoon feed y'all mess in your mouth. None of y'all can relate to the average American and what they have, their struggles and what they're going through. These are all millionaires that work on this show. So we already know that y'all have an agenda. You have the gods that y'all worship. You're all for corporate interests. So you can't really relate to what the rest of us, John Q. Public, has to deal with. And we'll be going around saying that, oh, they have to give us our money. Well, I think it's kind of shown that with this past administration, within the 9-10 months that they've been in office, they don't have to do whatever is required of them. Consequences be damned. They've been doing whatever the fuck they want. So you really up in here thinking that the world is what it was back then. She is like these centrist Democrats, these corporate centrist Democrats, where y'all sit and think, well, they have to follow the law. They have to do this. They have to give us our money. Who said? Trump ain't did not one thing for anybody in this past 9-10 months that he's been president that are the interests of the people. He has been cucking to his corporate donors, the billionaires and the billionaires and these corporate oligarchs, these rich oligarchs like the Jeff Bezos and all of them. He's been cucking to them, inviting a former Al Qaeda guy who's now the president into the White House. He's letting terrorists come into the White House. This is what this man's doing. But y'all not going to talk about that. So Alyssa don't know what the hell she's talking about. But anyway, let's get back to her foolishness so we can get on to the next
I think
thing.
people, adults, need to get to the table and need to be willing to negotiate. And here's the other factor that wasn't mentioned here. Donald Trump has been pushing Leader Thune to nuke the filibuster, which would allow Republicans to reopen the government without needing a single Democratic vote to do.
They can nuke the filibuster. First of all, that's one of the reasons why Chuck Schumer did what he did, is because he's afraid of nuking the filibuster. He's a status quo centrist Democrat. He is for the establishment. So they could let them nuke the fucking thing. I don't care. And talking about grown people come to the table. Well, when is that going to happen? Because last I checked, Nobody on the Republican side are adults. Y'all keep trying to push this, and sis, you a Republican, so I don't even know why you're trying to play this damn game of, well, we need to reach across the aisle. That doesn't work anymore. It's shown that it hasn't worked. So I don't understand why you think that there has to be adults that come to the table to reach across the aisle to get deals done. Trump don't know about how to make a fucking deal. He pretended to write the book called The Art of the Deal. So if you're not going to have somebody who's going to come in and actually reach across the aisle and try to bring a deal when his sole goal is to own the libs, to destroy democracy, to not give, like, to stick it to the Democrats, who he calls all kinds of fascist evil words, disgusting words. You're expecting people to reach across the aisle and get deals done? That's not what they're doing. And you continue to feed this narrative. It's tired, it's outdated, and it's old, and it's late.
Do so. Leader Thune didn't do that. He actually worked with a number of Democrats to come to this conclusion, which does get Dems some win, reversing those layoffs, as you mentioned, extending SNAP and WIC benefits through the end of 2026, also ensuring that the military and Veterans Affairs get paid, and guaranteeing this vote on Obamacare subsidies, which we'll see. But that is a much better deal than what could have happened if it was not reopened. And finally, Democrats are going to look like losers if they're just attacking each other in this. For some reason, Marjorie Taylor Greene was better at messaging the stakes of this shutdown, it feels like, than a lot of Democrats were. You have to give people the benefits they are entitled to under SNAP. You have to address the underlying issues of the crisis of healthcare in this country, but get government back working. No one can get anywhere. Flights aren't flying. The holidays are coming.
Yeah.
This is a welcome decision in my mind.
First of all, who cares about the holidays? And I feel like that's why they should have did what they did, because that would have really pissed people off. You should have let it extend beyond Thanksgiving and Christmas and stuff, so that way these people could really get mad at the Republican Party, especially when you got that idiot that used to be on The Real World running the Department of Transportation, and people are quitting because they're not getting paid. They're being overworked. They're not getting there. So how is it that they don't get paid, but politicians, these senators, and I got the information on that coming up too. How they getting paid? Y'all should not be getting a payment. That needs to be a law that needs to be put in place, that if we're gonna have government shutdowns, y'all should not get y'all money. Y'all should not be out here getting paid while average Americans who work for the federal government are suffering. How is it that they have to go without a paycheck or whatever for damn near it was over 40 plus days, right? So that's over a month of not getting any kind of pay, no money. They can't pay their rent. They can't buy groceries. They can't do any of the things that they need to do to be able to survive and thrive in this world. And you're cutting off, but you politicians get to go home and lay on your little silk sheets or whatever the case is and still get a paycheck? Oh, hell no. That shouldn't be allowed. But yet again, Alyssa don't know what the hell she's talking about because she can't relate. And you have been here worrying about flights. We got planes falling out of the sky. We got enough people that don't even know how to make sure planes is getting taken off correctly, because you have a lot of idiots that don't know the job that are getting the jobs, and y'all got the nerve to talk about fucking DEI. Get off my line with that mess. But with the real DEI is these idiots who are getting qualified for jobs or getting jobs that they're not qualified for. The Dr. Oz's with the position he got, that dumb idiot that sounded like he got a scrub bud stuck in his throat, RFK Jr. You got the idiot, like I said, from Pete Hegseth, who drank more than he worked. Then you got dumbass Moses Mike, that closet case with them 4 fucking eyes he got. There's so many people in here who don't know what the hell they doing and got jobs, but they're all about the loyalty instead of the work. But anyway, let me get through this clip, because I know I keep cutting off, but I was like, if I don't, I'm going to forget my train of thought. Let's continue.
Okay.
Look, let's be clear. The Republicans run the House. The Republicans run the Senate. The Republicans run the White House. The Republicans run the Supreme Court, as far as I'm concerned. This was a choice by Republicans to cut SNAP benefits. This was a choice by Republicans to cut ACA subsidies. This was a choice by the Republicans to gut the federal government and federal employment. Democrats had nothing to do with it. I want an opposition party. I think the Democrats caved. I think the Democrats let down the American people. And like you, Whoopi, I have absolutely no faith that the Republican Party will come to the negotiating table in good faith. You know, you do something like this, shame on you the first time. You do it twice, 3 times, 4 times, shame on me. Shame on the Democrats for even believing that the Republicans will, even vote on it. There's no guarantee in this New Deal that there's going to be a vote. There's no even commitment to have a vote. So the bottom line is the Democrats went into this after a blue wave out of the American people saying, we do want the opposition. The working people want the Democratic Party to fight for them. And now they just caved and surrendered. I think Chuck Schumer, his days are over. If he cannot keep his caucus together, he needs to go. He needs to be replaced.
I completely disagree with you, Sonny, for this reason. What you rather.
Of course you do, bitch. Fuck you. I don't like Sarah. I just think she's a shill for she says she's independent, but to me, she comes across very much as a kind of like John Fetterman, who says he's a Democrat, but he's a dino. And I think ever since that stroke, he's been more leaning into GOP, MAGA, Republican ideologies. Kind of like similar to Kristen Sinema and oh my God, who was the other guy? Joe Manchin. He gives me a lot of that. And speaking of John Fetterman, because we were talking about him, I was like, I don't give a fuck what Sarah has to say. Sarah's been getting on my goddamn nerves lately, so I don't see her. So we're gonna move on. And then Anna said some stuff too, but sorry, girl, you gotta take you gotta have to take the brunt of the situation because we gotta move on to another situation. I guess I had to close this out and then bring up the next one. So we have the video of Sonny Hostin basically talking to John Fetterman. I was like, where is that video? Oh, I got it. So yeah, let me set this up. So they criticize, as y'all know, they criticize the actions of 8 Democrats who sided with the Republican officials. I remember when Whoopi announced that Fetterman was coming on the show, the booze, you could have cut the shade throughout that damn room. They was like, oh no, we don't see it for this old lurch looking motherfucker, and he do look like Lurch because I think he was via satellite, but then he also came on the show because, like Kevin Federline, he's promoting a book. Problem is, I don't know if people care enough about this tight ass book. That book about to do as well as Kevin Federline's book. But if y'all want to go out and buy it, I want to take this out so y'all can see the full situation. So Sonny this is why I want to show y'all this clip, because I don't care about what the other bros got to say. Sonny went in and let his ass have it. But to me, and there's another thing that's irritating me about this show. Can y'all stop, like Fetch, trying to make Marjorie Taylor Greene happen? I don't trust that lady as far as I can throw her. I understand, like, it seemed like this is a little game that these producers and everything likes to pull, and y'all trying to normalize and humanize Marjorie. That bitch is a grifter. I don't trust her. And so y'all not going to sit up in here and y'all can make her a thing over on y'all show, but I'm just going to call it out for what it is. So we have the clip of Miss Mamas. We're going to go in and I'm going to play it. Hold on a second. Okay, we got it.
Poll after poll found more Americans on both sides of the aisle blaming Republicans. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene blamed the GOP. As you mentioned, Democrats had big wins last week, so you had momentum. Why give in now? Why bring a butter knife to a gunfight? Are you willing to gamble that the GOP will negotiate on health care in good faith once the government reopens? Because if that gamble is wrong, 500,000 Pennsylvanians that you represent, their health care costs will skyrocket if you are wrong. And I believe you are wrong.
Well, first of all, MTG is quite literally the last person in America that I'm going to take advice or to get their kinds of my leadership and values from. And now if Democrats are celebrating crazy pants like that, then that's on them. And now I don't need a lecture. I don't need a lecture from whether it's Bernie or the governor in California, because they are representing very deep blue kinds of populations. And a lot of those things were part of the extreme. And now remember, what really needs to win, the big win, is involving my state and other states and those things. And why have we arrived here after the election a year ago? We got to forget some of the things that cost us that election. Or now, for me, it's like, that's why I'm trying to remind people that kinds of the extremism, we can't return to those kind of things and realize we need to find a way forward. And I would like to, rather than cite MTG, I'm going to cite one of the new governor-elects saying that my election is not a green light to continue the shutdown, because I promise you, this isn't a political game. It is viewed by many of us, but the reality is 42 million Americans now not sure where their next meal is going to come from. And because we vote like that, or people that haven't been paid for 5 weeks now, and that kinds of chaos.
Poll.
Right. Did you understand a fucking word what that man said? Now, y'all know that there's people out here that be out here talking about word salad. That was a bunch of gibberish. I don't understand a word he said at all. Talking about extremism from Democrats. I'm like, what? What side are you on? Aren't you a Democrat, sir? So when you up in here saying extremism of Democrats' extreme side or whatever it was, like when he was talking about Bernie Sanders is a Democratic socialist, similar to Zoran Mamdani, which you already know, like the people like Chuck Schumer refused to endorse. And we're going to get into why all that plays out in a second. But, you know, what I will say about all of this, I'm just glad that Sonny called out Lurch for being a damn dino, which basically means Democrat in name only, if you don't know what dino means, which is similar to like Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema, people who act like Democrats on paper, but then they always vote with the Republicans. And I never felt that he stood for defending Democratic ideologies. And, you know, even though that's the platform he had ran on to win his Senate seat. So good on Sonny for holding his feet to the fire while the other ladies up in there sitting just pandering with the bullshit. But there was another video that I came across because, well, the people in the comments, they was like, vote him out. That's what Billy Porter said. Shout out to him. Another person said, get rid of him, vote him out, PA. Another person said he made no sense. Absolutely. I didn't understand what the hell he was talking about. And I think it's because of that goddamn stroke that fucked up his brain. And now literally you're looking at basically the housemaid from the Addams family out here spewing a bunch of damn nothing. That's why I call him Lurch, because he literally look like him. Now, they said, number one, he didn't address the healthcare issue at all. Number two, he really sounds like he doesn't know what's going on. He sounds like the guy at the end of the bar spouting gibberish, talking to no one. Absolutely. If I couldn't have said that better myself, he's a complete sellout. I wish he would resign already. He's always been a sellout. I don't know why y'all are just now catching on. We've been saying this. And funny enough, The View, it's good that y'all came to y'all senses, but I feel like the only reason why y'all came to y'all senses is because the higher up told y'all that it's okay for y'all to say all of this. But I'm not letting my foot entirely off y'all neck, because once upon a time, y'all literally had him in the conversation talking about that he was going to be, he'd be a great 2028 president. Why? Because he looks slow and he wears a fucking hoodie. Like, there's nothing revolutionary about a politician wearing a damn hoodie. Oh, he's edgy because he wears a hoodie and he doesn't, he just looks like your sloppy uncle that literally, like they were saying, who's at the bar, had a couple of drinks and speaks slurred English. That's literally what he gives. There's nothing revolutionary or edgy about a man who's supposed to be a politician. He should at least look like one. But y'all praised all of that because of his disability and everything, but then come down to it, now we see that he ain't nothing but a damn shill and a sellout. So there was this other clip that I came across where they were talking about, like, Schumer, basically with this recent situation, he's the most unpopular Democrat amongst the party, and they want his ass out. So shout out to Ro Khanna for basically calling him out. So yeah, it was saying like forecaster Ensign, who he's from CNN. He always does the polls. They say polls show Schumer is officially the most unpopular Dem Senate leader with his own party on record. Most Democrats think Dems in Congress do too little to oppose Trump. Well, because they align themselves with him. It's almost like how we have this whole blue wave, and then like not even a week later, you go and vote with them. Like, what? To me, it all looked like this was part of the plan from the beginning. But let me play this clip, and then we'll come back and we'll talk. I told you it was going to be clip heavy. Please hold.
What about Democrats nationwide feeling about Chuck Schumer? I think the word of the day is terrible, 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 terrible. To quote another Charles Barkley when it comes to Chuck Schumer, look at this. Least popular Dem Senate leader ever. I looked at all of the polls going all the way back since 1985. The one who has the lowest rating among Democrats is, in fact, Chuck Schumer. Look at this. He's underwater with Democrats. His own party, he's underwater. He's at -4 points. That makes him the least popular guy for a Dem Senate leader going all the way back since the mid-1980s at least.
Do you have a sense of why?
Why? Why? It's because Democrats, they want a fighter. They want a fighter. That's why. Take a look here. Democrats, Dems in Congress do too little to oppose Trump. During the first term, it was just 46% in 2017. That's the percentage of Democrats who said that the Dems in Congress are doing too little to oppose Donald Trump. Look at where we are now. 69%. That is an increase of, get this, 23 points. The super duper majority of Democrats believe that the Democrats in Congress are not doing enough to oppose Donald Trump. And that, of course, is a big, huge criticism of Chuck Schumer. And that is why he is underwater.
I knew you were going to do the dip. All right.
I always do the dip. I need my exercise in the morning.
There has been talks of a challenge to
dip.
Schumer. What are you saying on that front? Who looks like they're in place to do it?
Okay, so, you see this opening slide here, and you see, of course, that Chuck Schumer is underwater with Democrats nationally. But, of course, the ultimate way to get Chuck Schumer out of office is to beat him in New York State. So how do New York State Democrats feel about Chuck Schumer? And take a look here. The net favorable among New York Democrats. Chuck Schumer is above water with the Democrats in his home state, but just by 16 points. Look at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez running way ahead. If she decides to challenge Chuck Schumer and come 2028, she's got a real leg up on the competition. I dare say at this point she would be the favorite to beat him, which would be something that would just blow my mind, even just a few years ago, given that Chuck Schumer, of course, is a New York born bred type of guy.
Yeah,
He's a New York born and bred type of guy who's been doing this for half a century and is pretty much a shill for his corporate donors. And so at this point, I do agree it is time to push him out. But if you put somebody like a Schumer out, you don't want to put somebody in there that's going to continue to do the same thing over and over and over, and you guys are expecting the same result, because that's all you're going to get. You can't just have somebody that, oh, he needs to go, but then you get somebody else in there and they're going to do the same shit. So it might be a good idea if we can get an AOC in there. It seems like she has gotten a lot popular with people. People are starting to like her again. Yes, she's done some things in the past that's kind of made me side-eye her, but it seems like she's kind of course corrected. She's on the right track from what I'm seeing. Because I know there's some people I know who are independents that like to still hold old shit over people's heads. But I always say, like, it's not what you say, it's what you don't say. And I always follow people's actions. And so far, it seems like AOC is on the right track, and she's trying to course correct from some of the stuff she did back in the day when she kind of tried to deter herself from the squad. So I do like this idea of her getting there. I just hope that if she does decide to primary Schumer and dethrone him off that Senate seat, that she would get in there and actually be for us and not carry on, like, on the surface, be like, oh yeah, I'm trying to change and do those other things, but you're going to come in and pretty much do the same thing. So I'm hoping that so far she seems like a great choice. Now, that ain't the only thing that I had came across with this situation. There was another post that I had seen that was from, hold on, because I got to close all these other windows. I be having too many things open. So there was this tweet that I had saw. Let me pull this up for y'all. I told you this show was receipt heavy. Well, they were somehow, you want to know why they did the whole situation about the whole airline situation, the Democrats, and why they ended the shutdown? Because the airline people put money. They're part of the pack of the Democrat side. So they said airlines, shout out to David Sirota for this tweet. They said airlines whose profits were threatened by Trump's flight reductions funneled huge cash to the Senate Democrats who voted to help the GOP end the shutdown without preventing huge cuts to Americans' healthcare. So my thing is, you did all of this for what? And you have nothing to show for it. All for what? A pinky swear and hoping and praying that they actually follow the rules and really give us something that, oh, well, they said they're going to do down the line. What makes you think they're going to follow it? They have never followed the law since they've gotten back, since Trump's second term. So you're expecting something different? Oh, they're going to follow the rules this time. They've never followed the rules. And to me, it's just like the mentality of these people, the fact that I feel like they get off on losing. And when people say, like, they don't have a fight, they don't have any energy, they don't have this, they don't have that, I'm tired of Hakeem and them crooked ass teeth saying that shit. The reality is they're complicit in all of this. And they just want to continue to give these people whatever the hell they want because they too benefit from it. Or they're hoping down the line that they can also continue to benefit. And as long as they're cut to their corporate donors, this shit is going to keep happening and we're going to keep getting screwed, in the long run. And that's what's happening. And I'm so glad that people are starting to catch on. But now I got this other clip. And shout out to, speaking of AOC, I came across this clip. Shout out to EJ and DJ because they sent me this in the group chat earlier. I was like, "Ooh, I'm bringing this on the show." So yeah, so now 8 senators. This is what they were saying is like giving themselves over $1 million each while robbing Americans of food assistance and health care. Now, how is this even on the floor? How can Congress enrich itself by stealing from the American people? And this is the truth, basically, of the shutdown. Well, we lose care while senators cash out. And this is what's been going on. These politicians are cashing out over our I was gonna say over our dead bodies, but that's literally what it's gonna be. We're gonna end up having to pay the price while they cash out and they make money. Or because this is what certain political figures have allowed. That everybody can come up in here and get their piece of the pie and rob the treasury. Let's play the clip. Shout out to AOC for this.
The lady from New York is recognized for 1 minute.
It is great. It is great that Democrats have a line of people who are willing to fight for working class Americans from coast to coast in this country, because God forbid that we have a member of the Republican caucus who stands up and actually wants to extend the Affordable Care Act so that people with cancer, insulin, and issues across all sorts of healthcare issues across this country have their health insurance protected and extended throughout 2026. It is unconscionable that what we are debating right now is legislation that will give 8 members of the United States Senate over $1 million apiece. And we are robbing people of their food assistance and of their health care to pay for it. How is this even on the floor? How can we, as members of Congress, Republican or Democrat, vote to enrich ourselves by stealing from the American people? That is what this legislation does. In fact, Senator Graham just went before the press earlier today saying he was going to seek well over $1 million from the American people from this. We cannot support it, and we cannot stand for it. Thank you.
You said what she said, and what she said was not bullshit. Now, shout out to her because there was some like the payouts and everything they was getting. I got this final clip, and then we can move on. Shout out to Sawyer Hackett, who is a political strategist. He broke it down in like how long was this video? 1:25 in regards of what was hidden in the shutdown deal that people are not aware of. So he said they got 500,000 payouts for senators who basically tried to overturn the election. So we're going to play this final clip, and then we're going to come back and talk. Please hold.
The deal to end the shutdown just paved the way for 8 Republican senators to get paid $500,000 each for helping Trump try to overthrow the government. Yesterday, the Senate passed a bill to reopen the government after 8 Democrats made a shitty deal with Republicans, and people are pissed at them and at Chuck Schumer. But we just got one more reason to be angry. Because tucked away in the legislation to fund the government was a little provision slipped in by Majority Leader John Thune with Schumer's blessing. Basically, it gives senators the ability to sue for up to $500,000 if federal investigators seize their phone records without notifying them, which is exactly what happened in 2020, when Special Counsel Jack Smith subpoenaed phone records for 8 Republican senators who were working with Trump to overturn the 2020 election on January 6th. But here's the thing. They wrote the provision to be retroactive, meaning those same senators who colluded with Trump can now cash in for $500,000 each. And just to be clear, these senators weren't wiretapped. Investigators simply looked at their call logs to see who Trump and his allies were coordinating with to block the certification of the election, which Trump would have been convicted for if he wasn't reelected. So now, those senators, which include Lindsey Graham, Josh Hawley, Ted Cruz, and others, want taxpayers to pay them $500,000 apiece for their role in an illegal scheme to overturn our elections, which, by the way, is exactly what Trump is doing by forcing his DOJ to pay him a $230 million settlement. Who knew insurrection could be so profitable? And to add insult to injury, Chuck Schumer knew about this. He negotiated the bill directly with John Thune. We need to get the word out about this, so share this video and follow me to stay in the loop.
So that's basically why I decided to share that video, because I was like, yes, everybody needs to be informed on this. And it also goes to show you that, like I said, Republican, Democrat, they are two sides of the same coin, worshiping the same God, and those gods are their super PACs and their donors. So that's where we are with this situation. And I don't know what's going to become of it. Like, how do people feel like we have a dog in this fight, in this situation? I don't know. But and that's why I find it funny when they decided to bring up this whole thing about the whole Democrats trying to clean up their act with the Jeffrey Epstein